Here is a playthrough of Making a Cup of Tea, a text adventure masterpiece by Matthew Barnes. The yearning for a cup of tea has become overwhelming. You tingle with anticipation at the thought of the warm liquid trickling down your throat. You resolve to go on a quest to satisfy your desires. Do you have what it takes? What will you do?
Wait.
You find yourself standing in the hall of your house. It is possibly the blandest room that you have seen in your miserable existence. The ceiling is gray, the carpet is gray, the walls are gray, the lampshade is gray, the stairs are gray. There used to be a door that led to a bottomless void of nothingness, a trip through which would see you falling, lost for all eternity. At the birth of your child, you sealed the door for safety reasons. You see your sword hung up, ready to be used against, or used by burglars. The gray stairs are to your north. The kitchen is to your east. The bathroom is to your south. The door to the street is to your west. What will you do?
South.
You find yourself in the bathroom. The stench of decay lingers in the air. A series of stains are evident on the carpet, but you do not wish to inquire too deeply as to what has caused them. You see a toilet and a tap. The exit to the hall is to your north. What will you do?
Look at toilet.
A beautiful, stained brown toilet. What will you do?
Here's toilet.
You expose your genitals and begin to urinate. A profound sense of peace comes upon you. For a second, you consider renouncing your atheism, but you regain your senses and zip your trousers back up. What will you do?
North.
You cannot leave until you have washed your hands. What will you do?
I'm glad the game pointed this out. People who don't wash their hands are disgusting. I'll use the tap.
You wash your hands under the tap. What will you do?
North.
Back in the hallway.
Take sword.
You take the sword. What will you do?
North.
You find yourself in the upstairs hall. In contrast to the bland downstairs hall, the walls, floor and ceiling are a sickening color of pink. You resolve never to leave decorating up to your wife ever again. Perhaps it is even time for a divorce. A map stands upon a table. The stairs are to your north. Your marital bedroom is to the east. An odd-looking room is to your south. What will you do?
South.
In the darkness, you see a mysterious humanoid shape. You shield your nose in an attempt to reduce the unbearable stench of the creature. You hear a rhythmic rumble emanating from the back of the room. Something about the situation reminds you of games that you played in your childhood, and you get the impression that what you are facing is a troll. The exit is to your north. What will you do?
Use sword with troll.
You try to locate the troll, but to no avail. How can I kill a creature as mysterious and elusive as this, you think? The troll lunges towards you. Your heart pulses manically. The creature grabs hold of you and pushes you backwards. What wretched creature has taken up residence in our house, you think, as the figure begins to open its mouth. Its facial features form a demonic scowl as it screams dead. What are you doing in my room? You fall backwards through the door and quickly slam it shut. You resolve never to enter this lair of abomination ever again. You find yourself back in the upstairs hall. What will you do?
Look.
This is the description of the upstairs hall again. What will you do?
East.
You find yourself in your bedroom. The scars from many past battles are cut into the walls. Some still have fresh blood leaking out. You see your wife smiling at you. You see your debit card on the floor. The exit to the room is to your west. What will you do?
Look at wife.
You behold the great beauty of your wife. She blushes under the weight of your intense stare. A few moments later and she threatens to call the police. You stop looking at your wife. What will you do?
Use sword with wife.
You draw your sword and grab your screaming wife by the hair. You bring the sword down repeatedly upon her neck until it is severed. You lift up her head and kiss it, whispering I love you, but for some reason she does not respond. You hope that you have not upset her again like the last time that she refused to speak to you. You make a note to buy her some flowers later. You hear somebody in the next room, get off the phone and lock the door. You hear the faint sound of a police siren. What will you do?
Look at wife.
You look at the corpse of your wife. Even in death, she possesses great beauty. Blood trickles from the smiling lips of her decapitated head. You hear the loud wail of a police siren. What will you do?
Talk to wife.
You tell your wife's decapitated head that you love her. She does not respond. You wonder what you have done this time to deserve the silent treatment. You suddenly see a policeman running towards you. What will you do?
Talk to policeman.
The policeman does not look to be in the mood for conversation. The policeman grabs you and places you in handcuffs. I'm arresting you due to murder, he says. The intense thirst for tea causes you to struggle. The policeman hits you and the world becomes black. What will you do?
Wait.
You look around. You are in a bleak prison cell. There is a small window near the ceiling. It barely illuminates the room, yet despite its size, it still has a few iron bars to block escape attempts. The stench of decay is pervasive and overpowering. You can faintly make out red stains on the floor and walls. You have 20,000 days of your sentence left. You see a suicide capsule on the floor. What will you do?
Look at suicide capsule.
The suicide capsule tempts you with promises of peaceful oblivion. What will you do?
Wait.
Time passes. You have 19,999 days of your sentence left. What will you do?
Wait.
Time passes. You have 19,998 days of your sentence left. What will you do?
Take suicide capsule.
You take the suicide capsule. What will you do?
Inventory.
Inventory, suicide capsule, sword. What will you do?
Here's suicide capsule.
With great excitement, you pop the suicide capsule in your mouth. The world slowly fades to black. You smile as your torment finally comes to a close. Game over. Press any key to continue.
Okay, let's try again and see if we can actually get out of the house.
You're back in the hallway, having just taken the sword. What will you do?
North.
You're in the upstairs hallway. What will you do?
East.
You're in your bedroom again. What will you do?
Take debit card.
You take the debit card. What will you do?
West.
You're in the upstairs hallway. What will you do?
Look at map.
You look at the map. It shows all of the streets in the town. It is remarkably uniform in a square grid structure. You desire to inject some chaos, some humanity into its sterile, logical, rigid, straight lines, yet the unhuman creators seem to be almost mocking your impulses. Resistance is futile. What will you do?
Take map.
You take the map. What will you do?
North.
Back in the hallway. What will you do?
West.
You see your house in front of you. Its battered blue door is in dire need of repair. You see a street to the north. You see a street to the east. You see a street to the south. You see a street to the west. What will you do?
East.
Bland streets, with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
East.
Bland streets, with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
Look at map.
You look at the map. You work out the route to the places that you need to go. To home, 2 west. To the shop, 5 east and 5 south. To the ATM, 5 west and 4 north. What will you do?
West.
Bland streets with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
West.
Back home. What will you do?
West.
Bland streets with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
West.
Blend streets with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
West.
Blend streets with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. What will you do?
North.
Blend streets with no distinguishing feature stretch as far as the eye can see. I think you get the idea. You see the ATM by the side of the street. This one does not charge for cash withdrawals, unlike some nastier ones that you have encountered. What will you do?
Use ATM.
You press a few buttons but nothing happens. It still displays a screen asking you to insert your card. What will you do?
Use sword with ATM.
You try to insert the sword into the ATM, but you fail. What will you do?
Use debit card with ATM.
You insert your debit card into the ATM and it vomits out some money. What will you do?
Use map.
You look at the map and work out the route to places that you need to go. What will you do?
East.
After a short journey you arrive at the shop. You see the door to the local shop in front of you. Perhaps they will sell what you need. What will you do?
Open door.
You open and enter the door. You look around. Aside from yourself and the shopkeeper, the shop is deserted. Thousands of colorful products line the shelves, instilling great lust and desire to consume within you. Nasty pop music blares out from the shop speakers and begins to pose a grave threat to your sanity. The shopkeeper smiles at you. You see some milk in the fridge. Some paracetamol tablets sit on a shelf. A box of tea bags lie on the shelf. The exit is to yourself. What will you do?
Take tea bags.
You take the tea bags. What will you do?
Take paracetamol.
You take the paracetamol. What will you do?
Shelf.
You decided to steal some goods. The shopkeeper shouts angrily and phones the police. You see the door to the local shop in front of you. You hear the faint sound of a police siren. What will you do?
Open door.
You are inside the shop again. The shopkeeper looks at you with a look that betrays a deep disgust. You see some milk in the fridge. The exit is to yourself. You hear the loud wail of a police siren. What will you do?
Talk to shopkeeper.
You greet the shopkeeper. He responds, I despise you. Some people work hard in order to buy some of the goods that are sold here, yet you seem to think that you can take what you want. You are the enemy of civilization. I have called the police. Enjoy your last moments of freedom. You suddenly see a policeman running towards you. What will you do? Let's skip a bit and try again at the shop. You are in the shop. What will you do?
Use sword with shopkeeper.
You pull out your sword and plunge it with a blissful shriek into the heart of the shopkeeper. He chokes on his own blood and falls to the floor. Your heart pulses wildly as you feel the power and triumphant glory over the slain weakling in front of you. You hear somebody scream outside. You observe the beautiful corpse and grin as you think of the pain of his wife and children. It is not your fault, you can see it. He should have thought of this before he became a shopkeeper. You hear the faint sound of a policeman. What will you do? Let's skip a bit and try again at the shop. You are in the shop, having just picked up all of the items. What will you do?
Give debit card to shopkeeper.
The shopkeeper sees your debit card and tells you that his card reader is out of order. He can only accept money. What will you do?
Give money to shopkeeper.
You enthusiastically wave your money in front of the nose of the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper looks worried before realizing that you merely want to pay. He takes the money off you with great joy. That will be £6.45, he says. He gives you back the change and thanks you for your custom. What will you do?
South.
You see the door to the local shop in front of you. What will you do? You navigate through the streets back to your house. What will you do?
Open door.
You are back in the downstairs hallway of your house. What will you do?
East.
You find yourself in the kitchen. Various sharpened blades hang precariously above you. A decapitated pig's head stares at you with a beaming smile. You see a kettle on a surface to prepare things on. A leaky tap sits dripping in the corner. A storage room is to your east. The kitchen exit is to your west. What will you do?
East.
You find yourself in the storage room. There is nothing poetic to say about this room. It is a room to store things in. There are few shelves with items upon them. You see a cup. You see a spoon. The exit is to your west. What will you do?
Take cup.
You take the cup. What will you do?
Look at spoon.
A stainless steel spoon. This could be useful for stirring tea. What will you do?
Take spoon.
You take the spoon. What will you do?
West.
You are back in the kitchen. What will you do?
Inventory.
Inventory cup, debit card, map, milk, money, paracetamol, spoon, sort, tea bags. What will you do?
Use cup with surface.
You place the cup on the surface. What will you do?
Use kettle.
The kettle is empty. What will you do?
Use tap with kettle.
You pour a lot of water into the kettle. What will you do?
Use kettle.
You switch on the kettle and it begins to boil. You should now wait. What will you do?
Wait.
Time passes. The kettle has now boiled. What will you do?
Use kettle with cup.
This is not the correct step. What will you do?
Use tea bags with kettle.
You can't do that. What will you do?
Use tea bags with cup.
You place a bag from the box of tea bags in the cup. What will you do?
Use kettle with cup.
You pour some of the boiling water into the cup. What will you do?
Use spoon.
You tap the spoon against your nose. What will you do?
Use milk with cup.
You pour the milk in the cup. What will you do?
Use spoon with cup.
You stir the contents of the cup. You remove the tea bag with a spoon. You don't need to do anything more. This is ready to drink. What will you do?
Drink cup.
With great joy in your heart, you grab hold of the cup and behold the contents within. You take a moment to pause and savor the anticipation as you recall the great adventure that led up to this point. You lift the cup to your mouth and begin to drink the tea. For now, your life feels complete. Congratulations, you have completed your quest. Press any key to continue.